The 1 acre plus home market is different than the typical overall real estate market. We're going to talk about May 2026 compared to May 2025. I think you're going to see a continuing pattern. As a matter of fact, no changes is not really disturbing, but it's not real exciting either. Let's take a look. Stuart Sutton here at 1 Acre Plus Homes, and yes, the 1 Acre Plus market does perform differently. Sometimes it's coincidentally very similar to the other areas of the market like subdivisions, but the 1 Acre Plus market is a standalone market. People buying and selling in this arena need to know what's going on, not just pay attention to generic overall numbers. So the first thing I'm going to point out is the hotness ratio, and this is where this particular market, the 1 Acre Plus market, does stand apart. We've been specializing in homes on an acre or more since 2007, and rarely do we see this particular stat line up. This is what's called the hotness ratio. You're not going to see this from very many real estate agents. Most don't use it. They're not really familiar with it. That's not derogatory. I just tend to be very statistically oriented because I really care about what's going on in each area of the market. And there are 5 micro markets in this area. 1 Acre Plus Homes is one of them. A 37% hotness ratio means this. Let me explain clearly. When there's 10 homes on the market in a particular area, and there are 5 homes under contract, that's a 50% hotness ratio. That really is the most current picture of what's going on in any market. And it can be used for a neighborhood, can be used for an entire town, can be used for an entire metro area, could be used for a particular type of property like condos or townhomes, new homes. Right now we're using it for 1 Acre Plus Homes. In the 37% hotness ratio, I know you don't really know how to compare it, but that is really pretty good. Now, a lot of the hotness ratios we see in the current market are below 20%, between 20 and 30%, some a little above 30. 37% is really good. Now, there are some parts of the market that will go well above this, but they're kind of rare, and they're very specific niches within the market. But the 1 Acre Plus market is doing well with a 37% hotness ratio because a year ago it was 28. Which is a pretty substantial difference. And here's another area of statistics that's kind of important to know. How many months of inventory are there available? That means how many homes are on the market? And if no other homes came on the market, how long would it take for them to sell? So we've got about a 7-month supply of inventory. 6 months is considered balanced. 6 to 6.5 months actually is what the Texas A&M Real Estate Center says. So 7 months is very close to being balanced. Doesn't feel balanced because we had so many years of a very positive market where all the stats were very good. We're kind of back to normal now, and normal doesn't feel that great compared to very good. But we're not in the doldrums, just so you know. We're actually in a fairly normalized market. Now, as we go through this, you're going to see 2 kinds of stats. Stats that indicate a buyer's market and stats that indicate a normals market. We're not really seeing stats that indicate a seller's market at this point. But since we used to, a couple years ago, see pretty much all buyer's market stats, moving toward normalcy is a really big positive. So as I may have said, May of 26 compared to May of 25 is what we're going to look at. May of 26 shows home sales plus 32% over May of 25. That's huge. I mean, over 30%. That is very, very good. Now, double digits would have been good, but 32% higher is astounding. It's a really nice surprise. Now, why are we seeing more buyers buy homes in May of this year than we did May of last year? Well, part of the reason is because prices have slipped. Now, when we're talking about the word affordability overall, we're talking about a combination of interest rates, taxes, prices, insurance. All kinds of factors go across that. And since prices have slipped down some from a year ago, the homes in this particular area of real estate, 1 Acre Plus homes, are a little bit more affordable. Now, a little less than 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but when the average price of a home in the 1 Acre Plus market is about $850,000, a 3% decrease in price does bring that home into reach for more people. So home sales were up, prices were down. That kind of is a reflection of each other. Now this is a good one too. Days on the market down 17%. Now I've got red stats to show negative and green stats to show positive. Even though that's got a minus sign, it's positive because it's a decrease in the days on the market. So days on the market did come down. Homes sold faster in May of 26 than they did May of 25. Big positive. So far we have more home sales and they sold faster. Negative side is that the homes did sell at a lower average price. Now this is an interesting one. This is called list to sale ratio. That's the comparison of what a home is priced at and what a buyer is willing to pay for it. Now that is a little over 97% in the market, but it reduced from a year ago by 0.18. 0.18. I mean, that's nothing. That's negligible. That's less than 0.2%. So dollars, yes, it makes a little bit of a difference, but that is a negligible change. So the list to sell ratio shows that buyers were still negotiating with about the same fervor as they were a year ago. And that statistic of over 97%, in other words, homes on an acre or more are selling for over 97% of asking price, is a positive because that's a normal market statistic. Now this is an interesting one. You don't see this too often when real estate agents or the board of realtors, whoever puts out stats, but for homes on an acre or more, sellers priced on the average nearly 2% less than they did a year ago. So doesn't sound like much, but let's face it, if you're at the average price in the 1 acre plus market, $850,000, 2% less, it means you priced about $15,000 to $18,000 less than you would have a year ago, which made your home more appealing than it was a year ago. So sellers priced a little bit less than they did a year ago. Homes sold for a little bit less than they did a year ago, but they sold faster and we had more home sales. Do you see what I mean by mixed bag? Some of these stats show normal market, some show buyer's market. You know, when it comes to pricing your home, I nearly always put in this slide, and that is sellers who price their home properly to begin with and don't have to lower the price at all, sell higher, closer to asking, and they sell faster. Those are three facts that stay with us month after month, year after year, decade after decade. When someone puts a home in the market and has to continually lower the price, they end up with less money in their pocket for several factors. And I've got another video that covers that. Now here's an interesting fact too. I just saw a national stat that said on a national basis, home sellers are pricing less than they did a year ago. So overall, sellers tend to be coming to grips with the fact that, hey, we had that incredible run up in values and it's not all lost. Homes are still worth well more than they would have been if that run up in values in 21 and 22 hadn't happened. Even though prices have been slipping ever since, they haven't slipped down past where they were at the time. So most people have extra equity because of the 21 and 2022 market. Even today, several years later, when prices have slipped nearly every year. Here's another interesting thing about the 1 acre plus market. It took longer for the correction to start in the 1 acre plus real estate market than it did the subdivision market. And one nice thing about the 1 acre plus market is you don't have as much competition from new homes. Now in some areas you do. There are more new homes, for example, in Liberty Hill than there are in Georgetown. But in new subdivisions, regular subdivisions, there's tremendous competition against builders. And that's just not necessarily the case with 1 acre plus homes. Now this is something I like to share as well. There's a very powerful, proven home seller secret that we've been using with 1 acre plus homes for a long time now. I can actually say decades. Bottom line is that this particular process helps sellers sell faster, closer to asking, and for more money. And I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to add a video. It's right here. I think it'll be of interest to you because the process that we go through, this proven secret, you'll see how we proved it. This proven process is a huge advantage. As a matter of fact, it's kind of baffling as to why more people don't use it because it doesn't really have to be a secret. we share it with anybody who will listen. But hope you get a chance to watch that video. Hope this one was informative. And remember, it's your choice, so make it a powerful day.